Hello class. Hello. In this video I'm going to show you how to get ready for the typographic self-portrait assignment. When you go to Blackboard, this is the screen that you will see. It has the specification for our assignment. The first thing you have to do is you need to open Adobe Illustrator. In my case, it's already open, so all I have to do is just call the program. Then if you look at the instructions, it tells you to have an artboard. This is the area where you work, and it should be 8.5 by 11 or letter size. So you go to Illustrator, you go to File, New, and you're gonna get a screen asking you some questions regarding about your project. Okay, you want just one artboard, meaning one page. The size is letter. On this drop down menu you can see other sizes, or you can tap it by hand, and the orientation that you want is vertical. You want it narrower on the top and the bottom and longer on the sides versus like landscape. So you want the portrait setting. And the color mode, you can actually change it to RGB because it's a screen resolution, and the size to 150. That should do more than plenty for our submission. And you go OK, and you will get a new document. This is what the Illustrator screen looks like. Yours might look a little different depending on what you have open before or not. Notice that Illustrator have two arrows. They have a black arrow and a white arrow. You're going to use those for this assignment. You're going to use a type tool. You're going to use the pen tool. And you're going to use this area here, which is for color. If I double click here, I can change the colors of a fill. If I double click here, I can change the stroke or the edge of any shape that I draw, or letters. If I hit here, I reset them to white and black. So the next thing that you need to do, according to your instructions, is to bring an image. You're gonna have, in this case, it's gonna be a photo of yourself. For this example, I'm gonna use Da Vinci's Mona Lisa because it's an image that we all know. So I'm gonna go to my, actually to Illustrator. Let me switch software, and I'm gonna import that image, which is very easy. What you have to do is go to File, Place, and you get the photo that you need. It should be a JPEG, which is the correct format. So here's my Mona Lisa, and I'm gonna place it. And I'm gonna have to resize it. In this case, this image is really, really large. So I'm gonna go to the magnifier tool or zoom. I hit Option to have the option to the tool, which is downsize. And I'm gonna trim the image. I will do that with the black arrow, which is meant to change the size of things. The white arrow will let me distort it, but I don't want to do that. So while I'm shrinking the image down to avoid distortions, I keep the Shift key pressed down. And remember, as you listen to this video, you might be you might be encouraged to pause it once in a while so you can revisit things. So don't forget that you can pause always YouTube videos. So I'm gonna get the Mona Lisa to the correct size. I go, actually for this assignment, all I wanna do is maybe the face. For your project, you might wanna do a silly face, something interesting. You don't want that mugshot look. It will make a boring project. And once I got the image the way I want, here it is. I need to call my layers menu and see what's going on. Here's my layers. If you don't see your layers outside, you go to Window, Layers. I know mine are out because there's a check mark here saying that they're out already. And the thing I want to do with this layer, I can open it, I can look. The only thing I have is the image. Then this button here, transparency. You can also go Window Transparency if you want to see it. it told me the opacity is 100%. If I have the image click with the black arrow, I can change opacity down. In this case, I'm gonna get it to 50 or 60%. It's up to you, whichever you're comfortable with. And that'll then allow me to trace the image a little better, because with all the color, it's really distracting. A black and white photo might work even better for you. It's easy on the eye. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lock the image. By putting that little lock there, I will move my image by accident. See, every time I'm trying to move it, I cannot. If I have my lock off, I can click on the image and move it. And in my case, I don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna lock my image. Now I'm ready to work. To be able to work, I'm gonna need another layer. Layer is just the area where we work. And the layers work in a stacking order, going from the bottom to the top. So I'm gonna create a new layer, and now I'm gonna be able to work. I'm gonna zoom in, and for this particular assignment, we're gonna be learning the basic functions of the program, and we're gonna learn about type and all the different typefaces that we have available. So for example, I look at this image of the Mona Lisa and I go, you know what? This I here looks like a D. So I can go to the type tool. I can type a D. And I go, all right. One of the advantages of Illustrator is that let me move the letters anywhere I want. I'm gonna zoom in a little more to be more comfortable. Make sure that you do. And I take my black arrow, and now I can move the letter. If I want to make it larger, I can go to one of the hot corners. You see the double arrow? That's a scale arrow. I can click, make sure you're pressing down shift, and I can move the mouse to make it larger. I let the mouse go, and then I let the shift key go. If I go to the corner, you get that arrow telling you that you can actually rotate it. And I can say, well, that kind of looks like the eye. Don't be tempted to stretch it like that, because that will be a fun distortion. That's not allowed, and it's on your instructions, not to distort the letters. Here's what we're doing so far. You're on board. We got the translucency going. We made it transparent. We had the layers. We locked the layers that we don't need. We put the letters on top. Remember, you must have at least a minimum of 8 different typefaces. You can also use reflect to flip letters, and you don't want to distort the letters. Do not do so. You will lose points because of that. So, going back to Illustrator, here's my Mona Lisa. I can go, you know, it looks like a D, but maybe this is not the right type of D. So on the character palette, you can go, if you don't see it, window character, actually window type, and the sub menu will be character or Command T on the Mac, Option T in PC. You can click here, and maybe you find one that looks more like the right eye. No, that's not either. This is Perpetua. Maybe has the right letter that we need. And you go on and on trying to find the right letter for your project. And this is what this project is about. Now you have to use a different type style for your project, but you want to make sure that you use about the same amount of each. Don't do all of it in one typeface and then do 7 different ones just to fulfill the requirement. You wanted the feeling that the types are spreading evenly around the project. Once you get the right letter, you can move on to the next letters. On and on and on and on. I'm having a hard time finding the right eye for the Mona Lisa. Definitely, Synchro LET is not the right one. Let's pretend that this is the correct one. If you want to check your progress, you can always hit the little eyeball on your layers palette, and that will make the Mona Lisa disappear. Just leaving the work that you're doing. Another thing that you can do for this project, and it's something that you don't want to do all over the project either, is you can type on a path. Because If you do that all the time, of course you're gonna solve the project really easy. But this project is not about that. It's about working hard. Path is a line, and to get a good path, what I want to do is have no fill. So I click the fill area here, the no on it. Then I click on the line, and I hit the black, which is the first choice. What that means, I'm gonna be able to draw a black line, and I can draw a black line every time I click. I'm creating almost like a rail where letters can go later. Like you wrote your notebooks when you were a kid with the blue stripes on it, the college rule notebooks. You draw on the line, this is what we're gonna do. So once you got the line going, you hit the type tool and go type on a path tool. I want the letters to be black, so I want the fill of the letter to be, whoops, I'm sorry. I need to release. Let me go and click here. And I guess it was ready to go already, and I can start typing. Maybe I want to type that song about the Mona Lisa. Or any phrase related to the Mona Lisa, or maybe information about her, or I can just have random letters. It just makes sense to type something about what I'm portraying. Maybe you can type about yourself. So let's go with something about the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa was painted in Florence. And I go, that's almost like too big. So I can still highlight the letters. I can change the typeface. Maybe I want a different one that is more organic. Okay. And the letters, maybe I want them a little smaller. Every time you select the menu or a tool, all the options change on top. So I'm gonna go down to like 8 points. And you can see how this is changing. The red line will never print. It's just a guide for you. Now I can shut down my layer with the painting on it and see what I'm getting. So remember, for some areas you will be allowed to draw on a path, but you don't want to be all over the place. Just use it in a few smart places where it might be hard to do anything else. But try to solve the big areas with big bold letters. It doesn't have to be perfect. People just have to get a feeling of what the portrait is about, the photo. Okay, and once you're done with everything, once you're done with your project, the next thing that you have to do is you need to save it. And you can save it as an Illustrator file, and I advise you to save constantly. These programs do freeze, and you will lose all your work if you don't save it. And then to save it as a JPEG, you will click Export, and you're gonna get a choice where you can actually turn it into a JPEG, which is a photographic file. Make sure when you turn it into a JPEG that your layer with the original photo is down. Otherwise, it will show on the JPEG, and your submission won't be acceptable because it will show the photo below it. So that's a big deal. Make sure you do so and follow the instructions. So remember, you can type letters just by themselves by just clicking anywhere with the type tool, typing whatever letter you want, and you can highlight them, and you can change the typeface. Just going here and using a different one. You can click on a corner, hit Shift, and then you can drag. You release the mouse, and then you release the Shift key. Finally, you can type on a path of any kind. For example, you can draw a circle. In this case, I don't want the circle to be filled black. See if it's like that, this is what you get. You don't want that, you want the edge to be black, or the stroke. And the fill, you don't want a fill for it, you want it empty. And then you can just click on it, or to make it better, you can choose type on a path tool. You can start clicking here, and you can start typing words all over. So this concludes this tutorial. If you have any questions, please email your instructor on Blackboard.